I'm Elaine. Welcome to my studio. I'm trying out some inexpensive gouache paints and some brushes from Artway and their mixed media pad. And I've done like a step-by-step drawing and painting if you want to follow along, or if you just want to have a look at how the materials worked. I haven't used these before. They're from Artway and it is with a project in mind. These are, I think, really good value for money, and so I'm testing them and thought I could do something with you that you could see what I'm doing. Can't get my words out now. Right, so this is a mixed media pad. So I've got gouache today, but I am also going to try some watercolor on it as well, because I'm really interested to see how that works. And normally I would put a clear gesso primer on here, but we're not going to do that today. So I am a little bit, I don't know how that's going to work. But in theory, we should be able to do everything on here. These, I haven't used this make. This is £6.49, which is a bit of a bargain for 24 sheets, so we don't have to feel precious about it. These gouache were £11.49, which is, I mean, if you knew what I paid for my acrylic paint, these are really cheap. So again, I don't know how these are going to work, but you can find out with me. And then this is really interesting because have I got my small brush here? See this brush here? This is one of my favourite brushes for my acrylic painting. That is £6 something on its own. This whole set was £6.49. Can you believe it? All of those brushes. So I'm absolutely fascinated to see what these are like. I have already wet them. Brushes always come with a gum over the top. So you run them just under a hot tap, get rid of some of that gum so that they are ready to go. Pad, this is just a throwaway palette, so we can put the paint on there, and I will need some more kitchen towel, but we have a little bit of that now. And I thought I would have a go at this, what is it called? A lighthouse. I also bought myself a new rubber because I don't know where, I have hundreds of rubbers, I don't know where they go. Blue the golden retriever does like to eat them as well, if he can get his hands on them. Right, so shall we stop talking and shall we have a play? Let's have a think about our composition. I will be using some artistic license because I like to. So we have kind of this lovely kind of golden almost, isn't it? I really like this kind of ochre and the grey blue. And then these will go up there, but we don't need to worry about that. We do have, so the beach kind of comes down here. There, I'm hoping you can see. I might need to press it a little bit harder. We then have the horizon line, so we'll have a nice little bit of water. Now, then we have, so I'm looking at kind of where we are. Let's do something roughly and lightly. We have a little building here. So I'm not spending hours measuring things out because it's not a portrait. It doesn't need to be exact. We're just kind of having a play. We have got a gap. I am looking at that gap. We've then got our lighthouse. I'm then looking, I do look at things like there, the peak of that in comparison to the doorway here, kind of like that. And actually then I think I need to make this a little bit longer, like this. Rub that out. Don't get precious. I've just actually been teaching a children's class, and everyone's worried about making a mistake. It's okay. It's okay to make a mistake, whether you're an adult or a child. It is okay. That's what these are for. This is why we draw it out. Okay, so this is going to be dark in there. We've got these two light long windows. I quite like them there. There's something there, but I'm not putting that in. Then we're going to come up here. Now, you could do something like measure roughly. So I'm using my pencil and my rubber. That's the building, and actually it is a little bit bigger, just a fraction, but just gives us a bit of a where are we going to kind of feeling without measuring. So we are here. This needs to come a little bit over. Where's our window? What there is our chimney. So you're looking at angles like this. This is quite important, that these go down, these go across. These go across, these go down. You can draw neater, mine's quite scruffy. Then we have a little window here. Don't we? This curves. Comes around. Curves. This on this side is there. Curves. And this, so this is curving actually all the way around here, but it's really dark. Up to here. Curve. The light bit is narrower. And actually what you can see is a curve there. So these are all what I call ellipses. So they're all circles that carry on. But that's why this is dark. Maybe too much. Little ball and a hat. Okay, I'm hoping you can see that okay. I have these lovely new studio lights. Really struggled to get good lighting in my studio, and I got them yesterday, and I was desperate to come in and do a video to test them out. Now we have all these other bits. So that bit there we are going to get rid of because that will push that back. But we can draw these in with a bit of paint and stuff. We don't need to draw everything in. Let's just take that line down. Oh, I do love a new rubber. Okay. So with this gouache, we can use it two ways. We can use it like a watercolor. My plan is to use it a little bit more like an acrylic kind of gouache thing today. So let's have a look. So let's put some white. So I'm going to put my palette as though I was teaching this in a basic class. So we've got white. We have yellow next to it. We're going to put black at this end. So we've got black here, and I'm going to probably take a couple of browns here. I do have to push the ends on these. There is a burnt umber, so that is a warmer brown. We have got a burnt sienna. Might use that. I'm going to use, we have a vermilion and a crimson. I think I might use a crimson in the middle. And the reason being, we've got a black, we need a blue as well. Let's put some ultramarine here and some cerulean. Well, this one's called cerulean. So this is kind of this is a cold blue. Ultramarine is a warmer blue for this blue grey. We're going to need a lot more paint, but that gives us a basic to start with. And what I want to show you is these two over here are light to lighten. So we'll either, white will be cool, yellow will be like a warmer way of lightening, and then here we kind of have colder to darken. But we're not going to go to a massive kind of mixing thing, but I just thought I'd explain that quickly. Right, let's have a look. I'm going to go straight into dark. I have no clue how these are going to react. I have a number round, looks like a number 8. It's called a 14, but that in my world will be a... And I am just going to draw with my paintbrush to get in some of these dark. So I know in watercolour you generally do light to dark. In my world we do a combination. Because I was an oil painter, now I'm an acrylic painter, and I'm also a watercolour painter and a gouache painter, and so I'm going to add a tiny little bit of water just so it flows. Can you see I was getting kind of this rough brush look, which I don't mind as well, but I just want it to flow a little bit more. So only do yours if you think. We don't want it like watercolour really runny, but we also don't want it to be too hard work. All in here. That's all dark. We've got dark here, so I'm literally just looking for shapes. We are dark this side. More paint. Using the tip of the brush, you could use a smaller brush. Up to here. There's a lighter grey bit on there that we'll put in. We've got these kind of support bars. I've not got enough paint. It's gone a bit light, so you get more paint. So we are darker in here. So I'm basically setting anywhere that is dark. That is dark. Under here is dark. They do need a little bit of water to get them flowing, but actually I'm quite impressed. So these are the simply ones. So I think this is their basic range. We have shadow on there. Here. So here you have a choice. So you could go in between the gaps, or you could do it all and then just put a little bit of light grey over the top. So this is just a sketch, so we're not worrying too much about, well, I say that, I mean, I'm not too worried about perfection. Anyway, I kind of like a bit of an impression. I think we've got amazing cameras and photographers that can do realistic. We are creating something. Now, I'm not going to do all those bits yet. We can do that after we've done the sky. So there's some shadows. Just looking at little bits here. Anything with a little bit of detail. Well, we've got it on our brush. Okay, we have a bit of a lighthouse, don't we? There's actually a bit there. Okay, you'll see that I'm very faffy. Okay, we're going to clean the brush. We are going to find our kitchen towel here. So that needs to dry for a second. So let's have a look at under here as well. So we have an underneath brown colour. So I'm going to go to my big brush and I'm going to put these on afterwards. So if we were doing in watercolour, we might reserve these. But we're going to test out how good our how opaque our gouache is. So we first of all looking at that colour, and I'm going to add yellow, and I'm going to add some white, and I don't like that colour. I'm going to add some brown, and then I put a little bit on, and we make a decision. So actually with a nice brush like this, or even like a fan brush, we can use it to create a bit of a, that these are kind of, what's the word? Sometimes my brain is painting and not focusing on words. Bit of yellow, bit of white. You don't need to create the same colour, we can vary the colours. So I've got a bit of a brush effect basically, which is showing this kind of long scruffy kind of look. And some of this I might want up and down. And I often will do in these pictures like this more of a vignette, so not to the edges. I'm not worried about that. Just trying to create a feeling or kind of some atmosphere. We need some dark bits as well. See these dark bits in between? Let's get some brown and black. You'll learn that there's kind of colours that might need a little bit of water. Don't want it too black because we don't want it fighting with the lighthouse. But there's definitely some dark bits in here and maybe some patches. That's a bit dark, I'm going to go over it. The beauty of acrylic and gouache is that we can go over it. Okay, maybe I will leave it like that. Maybe I'll do just a lighter. So a bit of red. Is that red? No, that's crimson. Red, yellow and white. Maybe a bit more yellow. We didn't use yellow ochre, so probably that would have been a really good colour as well. Let's put some of that out. Ooh. That might be nice for some of the gold bits. So let's put a little bit of that in. A bit more. See, I put it on, I tested it. I don't put the wrong colour on and then keep going. So yellow and brown. If you can hear some footsteps, that's my doggies having a wander. Right, let's leave it like that. Let's see, I'm going to leave it in this kind of triangle. A bit more warmth. I just had a look and just thinking maybe a bit more warmth. So yellow ochre and pink and white. we can come back and add to that, because let me show you, when we come on, with our fix and no water here, this is where we'll test the opacity. Yes. Or whether it can go over those, which it can. Yes, this is fun. Right, now I have a choice. I can paint this as it is. As you can see, it's kind of a bluey grey, so we're going to talk about mixing that, and it comes down to a much lighter colour. Right, so we have this lighter kind of pink bit. It's very warm today. You'll find that they all they dry a lot quicker. And then I have my lights which are drying it slightly. Touch of water. Okay, that's too pink. Let's lighten it with white and yellow. I kind of like, oh, too bright. Okay, we need to desaturate it, so we're going to add a tiny bit of blue and a tiny bit of yellow. So what I did was I made it, I put a bit of green in basically. So if you have a flesh colour, if I add a little bit of yellow and a little bit of blue, you basically desaturate the colour. I'm pulling down because I don't want to keep mixing that colour in. And then we're going to put a little bit of that. Now, I'm going to use some artistic license. I need a bit of water. I'm going to add a little bit of pink into here. So the difference with acrylic is that would have dried. So we're going to go shadowy. But I wanted a little bit of the pink colour. Just in the building. And then I'm kind of thinking about that shape there. Maybe a bit of this. So we're trying to, as an artist, to kind of create harmony within our picture. So we might completely paint over that. We could also put a little bit of pink in the sky. We bring a bit more yellow, a bit more white, and then actually we could bring a little bit of that in. It's drying out here. And because it's gouache, a little bit like acrylic, we can just go over the top. Right, let's quickly make, I need lots of white. This is where, if you like gouache or acrylic, I'd buy a bigger white. Okay, so this is going to be too bright, so we are going to add a little bit of red and a bit of yellow to desaturate the colour. Lots more paint. We have a big surface. Tiny bit of each. You could actually also use a bit of the brown. Can you see that will desaturate the colour? A bit more blue. Okay, let's try a little bit. A bit more white. A bit more white. We're going to go darker at the top. And again, we don't need to be doing the most perfect brush strokes we can have, you know. I'm sure There's a bit of movement and wind and kind of expression. This is a filbert curved brush, is quite nice. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start making it lighter. A lot of white. So as we come down the paper, I don't mind a bit of white bits showing through. We're going to keep going lighter. Don't know if this was me using these, whether I would suggest a slightly better white. This is fine. This will do you fine. For me, I like a bit more of a reaction. You have to put in quite a lot. So with cheaper paints, you've basically got less pigment, more filler in with them. So I'm having to put quite a lot in compared to an artist quality, but it's fine for what we were doing. We've kind of got this gradual thing going on. Let's fill in a bit here. Tiny bit of white. Doesn't matter if you go over it, we can go back in and fix it. Put some more black on. And then maybe a little bit of this white blending in with our pink. And then when we come to our water, okay, see that blue? That is not the blue that we have. We need to saturate it or desaturate. So a bit of brown and a bit of white. And then I'm going to put in the water, so this will kind of tie our blues in together. Can't really see much, but you could put a little bit there. Okay, now let's also have a look at the shadow. So I'm going to take some black, mix it in with that blue. So I'm creating kind of a harmony. And I'm going to put that onto the bit of water in it, into the Lighthouse. So again, it's showing some of the pinks here is actually quite nice. It's because the paint is thinner. And then I'm going to get my little brush and we're going to get rid of the white. It is not white in here, it is shadowed, it's grey. So we'll put that on, then we can put the black back on. Oh, I've just realised something. We need to fill in, this is all sky, because it's see-through. And there. Now, you can make a decision about whether you like the pink bit. You could just go too light, up to you. Whilst we've got that grey as well, we're going to put a little bit on the roof. So can you see we're blending our colours in? I'm not remixing colours for each little bit. We're creating harmony. In here, like that. Now the front is also, I'm going to add a little bit of brown, bit of blue went on as well. There's a little bit of yellow down in this corner, and then this is all shadowed. So this all needs to go darker in here. We've got a shadow in here. shadow in here, like that. Quite quickly we're creating something. We also need that grey while we have it in this corner up here underneath, and we can then go up back on. Where's my fine brush? Try not to leave, with gouache it doesn't matter so much if they dry on your brush, try not to leave your brushes because these are brand new. If I leave that in the pot, I'm going to wreck the tip of it, and it's a very nice brush. I can't quite believe how cheap these are. So I'm just reinforcing this black and grey bit. I often use my finger to. Right, I want more of a grey, so I'm going to make some white ore. I've got that blue there. So we're just going to put in some lines up here. And the lines around here. We need it darker. Really fine, using the tip of the brush. You don't need a really small brush if you can use the tip. And also can you see how I'm not worried about kind of finishing all of the lines? I've not got a ruler. I'm creating more of a flicky impression. I don't mind that all of the lines don't meet up. The brain will. It actually generally looks better when they don't. We've got some of these little marks here. And put these back in. Here. Little kind of dots and bits like that. Here we got some. Put that back in. We have that grey colour. Where is that? Let's put that back in here. It's kind of lighter on the lights coming from that side. Okay, let's not get too fussy. Oh, if you did that bit, you can put that cross back in, or put a bit more. I think we need to put some darker back in. So crisp up that line and that line. Down here, up shadow. And just go over it again. I think generally things look better with kind of some layers anyway. Okay, there is like a fence, so you could put a fence in. Put a little bit more here. And a bit more here. And then if we get some more white, that light grey, there's a little bit of a light grey there, there. Just some little dots, and there we go. Just going to rub out. I should have rubbed that out earlier, any of your working lines. Now I can make a decision here. I'm going to need some more white to gradually. I could leave it, or I could put paint on. I think I'm actually going to leave it because we're being quite faffy. Let's do some of these nice splodges. So I think I'm going to go on with some thick, more white. These are very nice, I have to be honest. I'm really surprised at the brushes, the quality. They, I think, were the one thing I was thinking, oh, because some cheap brushes are not good. But actually, I think if you're a beginner or child, these are really good. And can you see the way that I use it? This is a flat brush. I love a flat brush. And I'm just varying my direction of my brush stroke and also the size. So some I want bigger. I'd probably take this down to a bigger one. So just keep going back into the paint. Can you see? Two together, little ones. And now that that's dry, let's take some grey, and then we can also kind of do a few grasses. So fleck, not too much, all in the, and a few kind of seed head bits. That's quite nice. Maybe a few bit of brown, black. Come here. Ooh, maybe a little bit too much. Put some goldy brown in there. Dotty bits. Little marks. Less dark, not too dark. Okay, what do we think? I think we need to go a little bit darker, kind of in this corner. What do you think? I actually think that looks quite good as a basic quick sketch. Trying out these, we can, I mean, you can literally keep going. It depends what kind of, we need a little bit of white a bit there, I think. So if you make any mistakes, so this is where I probably go a little bit of a more artist white. So this will give you a little bit more coverage. So if you make a mistake, so say for example here I wanted to put some lighter bits in, that they would go over the top of what I've got, or here. So I think I'm going to leave it there. It's just a quick sketch that you might like to see. This is where I just start fiddling though. And go, look, I love these little dots. I love these kind of like sparkle bits in my painting. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. You can make it brighter, there's brighter colours, but this is the thing, you can make this all your own. You can make this shadow on there a little bit darker. I'm kind of just trying to show you a few bits, but painting is all about your own decisions, learning the techniques, deciding what you like and what you don't like. I'm going to leave it there. I hope you enjoyed that, and I will speak to you soon. Bye.